This is Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. From the corporate office to the cab of a truck, they're here to inspire and empower women in all professions. So gear down, sit back, and enjoy.
Welcome. We're an award-winning show dedicated to empowering women in every profession through inspiring stories and expert insights. No topics off limits on our show. We power women on the road to success with expert and celebrity interviews and information you need. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Kathy.
When life gets in our way and we wonder where to head, there's always a new direction. And when adversity knocks, you don't have to answer the door. Today's guest is a true force of nature, a trailblazer who's flown to incredible heights. She was the first woman to become a commander in the F-16 flight simulator in Israel's Air Force. Ilana Golan has shattered glass ceilings at Intel as their youngest hire, scaled the heights of Silicon Valley as a tech executive, and then turned rock-bottom adversity into unstoppable momentum. Alana is now the CEO and founder of Leap Academy, which is in the top 7% of the fastest-growing companies in America. She's revolutionizing how we think about careers, education, and the future of work. She's interviewed icons like Richard Branson, Gary Vaynerchuk, and the president of Starbucks on her hit podcast. And she's delivered keynotes on some of the biggest stages in the world. But Alana's story isn't just about accolades. It's about resilience, reinvention, and courage. From losing everything from a startup betrayal to building a global platform that empowers people to reclaim their future, she's proven again and again what true leadership really looks like. And did I mention she's also an Ironman triathlete, a mountaineer, and an adventurer who embodies grit in every sense? Alana is here to share not just her journey, but the lessons we can all use to leap higher. Welcome, Alana. We're so excited to have you on the show.
Oh, it's so great to be here. Shelley, can I hire you to always introduce me that way?
Sure.
Holy cow, that's quite the introduction. You are amazing.
Oh my. Alana, your life has been a whirlwind of both obstacles and opportunity. Could you maybe give us a brief summary of how you got started and what you've done? I know our listeners would love to learn more.
Yes, of course. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, I started because I grew up 5,000 miles away from California, on the other side of the ocean. We had a military service that was actually mandatory. But I think it was an incredible opportunity at age 18 to be basically thrown in the deep end and to try to swim. And I still laugh that probably at age 20, I had more responsibility than I had at age 40. And I think it was the best school that I could have asked for in hindsight. So that's kind of how I started, I guess, Shelley.
What made you decide to join the Air Force? And I was just kind of curious, how many women in Israel join the Air Force? I don't know what the percentages are compared to like the United States.
There weren't a lot. I mean, the Air Force overall is huge, and we do have various areas in the Air Force. Specifically, it was insanely small. I think we were 9 girls basically doing this course on flight training, if you will, and it was incredible because again, at that point, women were not allowed to become fighter pilots in the sense because they were really, really afraid of women being caught beyond enemy lines. So the only option we really had is to go train kind of like Kelly McGillis, in Top Gun. So I essentially was the Kelly McGillis, if you will, Shelley.
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. She had a pretty exciting life, that character, my goodness. Now, you actually can fly planes. It's not just a simulator, correct?
Yes, you can fly planes, but we were not allowed to do like really specific things with them. So at the end of the day, you really found yourself training more than anything. And I think the interesting piece here, I was very determined to show that women can actually do this part as just as good as men. And we were all standing on the shoulders of each other, I think, at that point. And I did become the first woman to ever become a commander in my squad. So I pushed that ceiling a little bit further. But after me, there was, like we kind of kept standing on the shoulder of each other, and eventually there was a female pilot that was allowed, and now it basically women are allowed to become fighter pilots in Israel, which is a big deal.
Bravo. And you were one of the
Yeah.
ones that broke through that glass ceiling and made the way for women behind you. That's so terrific.
Yeah, but I was
That's
also standing on
amazing.
shoulders of incredible women that broke it before me. So I, salute every single person that helped. So yeah.
Did you always want to be a pilot?
Oh no, that was totally not in my future. No, I was just like, I didn't even know anything about it. My family is not from, the military service. I mean, they did their own share of it, but not much. So no, this wasn't in my car. I mean, it just kind of stumbled upon it, I guess. And it was an incredible gift to learn how to, oh my God, so many lessons, I guess, that I can learn from it. But they serve me until today.
Well, I would imagine fearless is one of the things that you'd probably learn.
You learn to not be afraid of trying new things for sure. And I think the other thing is also because of that training hat that I found myself in, you are training people that have 30 years more experience than you ever will. And I think that creates an incredible opportunity to learn how to have very crucial conversations, which is not something that's taught in school, and it's priceless for leadership. So I think it actually gave me an incredible gift that I don't know if I would have acquired in any other way.
And this gave you an entry point because you fell in love with technology. And then you went on to study electrical engineering. And then, of course, you ended up working at Intel. And wow, I mean, you just kind of went everywhere in a lot of different directions.
Just the words electrical engineering scares me. So kudos to you.
Oh, Kathy, they scare me too, so don't worry.
I would have to hire an electrician to probably change an outlet. I just, I have respect for electricity. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I studied basically, it was called electrical engineering. It was mainly computer engineering at that point. But yeah, it was basically, again, I think we were 8 women, 300 men. And, it's a very male dominant environment. But I did get, because of my Air Force days, I did get an opportunity right in the first semester before I knew even how to code. I actually got an opportunity in Intel. I'm still pretty sure they took me just so that the other companies will not take me. Like I was really useless at that point, but I was the first or the youngest hire they ever had until then. So it was a pretty big deal. And I learned a ton from at least trying to be useful.
So that took you over the ocean to California, correct?
Yes, eventually I got into I started in Intel Haifa, and eventually I did move to California, and it was incredible. I started also in startups, and my tech career has started to kind of take in shape.
And everything you did, becoming a tech executive, and then you ran into some real adversity. What was it with a startup? Could you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, you had everything going, and then all of a sudden, whammo, it just kind of blew up on you, didn't it?
You can say that again. So to give some context for the listeners, I did leap again, from Intel to startups and all the way in different roles in those startups. And it's interesting, Shelley, because every single time I found myself stuck. And I was like, every time you get good at something, you get stuck at it because they see you in that box, right? And finally I got out of the engineering box into technical sales, into product management and marketing. And there's a reason why I'm telling the story. And eventually I was vice president. So I kind of felt like, oh my God, like I knocked all the, the boxes of success. I was vice president. And I was flying every single week. It was like daunting. And I was like, is this really what success looks like? Like, I didn't see my kids for 5 years. They were probably 2 and a newborn when I basically took that job, and I missed the entire 5 years of their life. And so when a friend of mine came to me, I was pretty burned out by then. And a friend that I knew for 20 years came to me and said, hey, let's start a startup together. And I was like, oh my God, how did I miss that? Like, if I'm already working so hard, why would I not do it for myself? So the whole idea was fantastic. I got really excited. I worked around the clock on this new baby of ours. And, I live in Silicon Valley. So the typical Silicon Valley thing that you do is once you think you have kind of a vision of what this looks like and what we call minimum viable product, you actually go to investors. So we went to investors, and even that went really well because our founder story was so fantastic. And within 3 weeks, there was a term sheet. They were evaluating our little baby at $5 million. And I remember looking at that term sheet. It was like for $800,000. And I remember closing my eyes and thinking, oh my God, how did I get so lucky? And during the goodbye party as my vice president, I told everybody about the startup. I wanted to make sure they don't follow me or they don't think something is wrong with the company. But also, I was really proud of what, we're creating. And I told them about the money that we raised. And everything was so incredible. Within exactly 24 hours, my co-founder decided to take the money, throw me out of the business. And I was left with nothing. No job, no salary, no startup, no investment. And you're right, Shelley, the worst part was my ego came crushing down in a way that I think it's hard to imagine, because I think especially when you ticked a lot of boxes of success, your ego kind of gets in the way a little bit. And suddenly it was like, how did I not see this coming? Like, how did I totally miss the boat on this? And what do I do now? And one of the interesting thing, I think, Kathy and Shelley, I'm sure your listeners will resonate with this. My identity was completely attached to my title, to the companies that I was with. And suddenly I was a nobody. And I did not know how to handle it. And I think the hardest part was that as a driven person, I always knew what's next for me. We talked about it, right? Like everything was scripted. Like I knew it, and I was leaping, and everything was like incredible. And suddenly you fall off this horse of success, and I had no clue what I want to do next. I didn't know if I'm looking for a job. I didn't know if I'm looking to start a startup. I didn't know if I'm looking for revenge, honestly. Like I was so lost. It was unbearable.
Well, yeah.
Just real quick anecdote to that. I lost my 13-year nursing career due to a lifetime of undealt trauma. And it was the exact same thing what you just said. I had my whole identity attached to that nursing cap and uniform. Right. Take that away. I was 42 at the time. I had no idea, right? Because my identity equaled nurse. So once I didn't have that anymore, I was so lost. Like I didn't know what I liked, what I didn't like, who Kathy was, who I wasn't. It's a horrible feeling, that empty shell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We really do get wrapped up in the day-to-day and what we've become, and we think that's who we are. And I mean, it's like you fell into a black hole. You're concerned for your family. There's desperation. There's panic. There's your ego that's just totally shattered. You look in the mirror and say, who am I? I mean, you got nothing to lean on. That had to have been so scary. And for you to even turn it around, a lot of people couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I want to acknowledge if somebody's lost right now or somebody's stuck and listening to this episode, it does get really, really, really dark before sunrise. And I couldn't sleep at night. I wasn't sure what I'm waking up for. I was snappy at my kids. I was snappy at my husband. My health deteriorated. I mean, I was hospitalized 3 times because of some random breathing issues, which now in retrospect, I can tell you it was, stress. It was losing relevance. It was panic. It was feeling like a failure. But probably if you would have told me that a decade ago, I would just I was just like, no way. Because it can't happen to somebody like me. Like I do Ironmans. I do, things like I don't let things, throw me off so bad, but it did. It was losing my relevance, feeling like a failure is something that is insanely painful. And it's incredible to see how it takes a toll on every single thing in your life. And basically crawling out of this dark hole was not simple.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for years. I've helped countless people across the country, and my success rate speaks for itself. So now you know where to find good, honest help with your tax problems. What are you waiting for? If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or haven't filed in years, call me now at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com for a free consultation and get your life back.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
If you're enjoying this informative episode of Women Road Warriors, I wanted to mention Kathy and I explore all kinds of topics that will power you on the road to success. We feature a lot of expert interviews. Plus, we feature celebrities and women who've been trailblazers. Please check out our podcast at womenroadwarriors.com and click on our episodes page. We're also available wherever you listen to podcasts, on all the major podcast channels like Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, you name it. Check us out and bookmark our podcast. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, and other sites. And tell others about us. We want to help as many women as possible. We're continuing our powerful conversation with Ilana Golan, a true force of nature. From becoming the first woman to command an F-16 flight simulator in Israel's Air Force, to being Intel's youngest hire, to rising as a Silicon Valley tech executive, Alana doesn't just break ceilings, she redesigns the buildings. She helped lead the way for other women to finally become fighter pilots in Israel. And she didn't stop there. After a devastating startup betrayal that left her at rock bottom, she didn't just rebuild, she launched. Today, she's the CEO and founder of Leap Academy, now ranked in the top 7% of the fastest-growing companies in America, revolutionizing careers, education, and the future of work. And yes, she's also an Ironman, mountaineer, and global keynote speaker. Alana, in our previous segment, we talked about a lot of things. You talked about losing relevance.
Losing relevance. That's a powerful statement. And I think a lot of people may even feel that way today. As fast as the world is moving and with social media and everything, people don't know how are they relevant. They don't know what their identity is. And you have to feel relevant. You have to have a sense of purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say relevant and purposeful, that sense of purpose.
Yes. And with what happened to you, Alana, you probably didn't even feel like you had a sense of purpose. How did you end up starting Leap Academy? Was that shortly thereafter? I mean, did you kind of go do an introspective and try to figure out who you were before you knew where you were going to head?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. So at that point, it was really the lowest point in my life. I was searching for everything. Like I was searching on YouTube. How do you find your passion? How do you find your next career direction? Like I was searching everything. It was incredible. I was like, I'm going to engineer my way out of this. But the truth is that's not how it works. And at that point, I made a promise that if I ever figure this out, I have to tell the world how. I have to know if I'm the only crazy person or anybody else is feeling the same thing and the same overwhelm. Because there were, everything was exciting and everything was not exciting and I wasn't sure what I want. And I mean, it was a horrible time. And, eventually, and I think this is what's interesting, I can't even point the exact time that it happened, but eventually I did start leaping again. Again, I started a tech startup. It was acquired. I started investing in companies. I'm today invested in over 100 companies. I started mentoring in some of the biggest startup accelerators like Google and Singularity and University and Carnegie Mellon, et cetera. And I started, doing all these public speaking and standing on stages. And I remember it was like, I think it was around 2018, 19. And I was looking back, I was like, this is incredible. Like, I'm actually leaping at a pace I didn't even know existed, because until then I was used to be in corporate, and in corporate, you have these rules. You need to wait there for 4.5 years until you qualify for the next, like you can get the promotion, and then you need to prove yourself. And like, there's all these rules, and it always feels so slow, and I never knew how to play the game. And suddenly I'm leaping in a way that, people are coming to me and starting to ask me about my career. And it was interesting because success leaves clues, but we many times don't look at the clues. And people were already asking me what it is that, how am I getting? How am I doing all these things? How did I get on this stage? How did I start investing? How did I start my startup? And it took me time to understand, wait, maybe this is a clue. This is something that is going back to that promise that if I figure this out, I have to tell the world how. And the interesting thing is that in 2019, I sort of decide to do this, Shelley. And what's interesting is I am a geek. At the end of the day, electric engineering, it's as geek as it gets, right? And I had to understand, is there like some steps that I do again and again and again to leap? And there was actually, when I engineered the heck out of it, there was actually like 4 steps that I just do again and again and again. I was like, this is so interesting. I wonder if I can teach this. And I just sat, with a few friends, and I could see how suddenly they're morphing. And I was like, can this be something? And that's 2020. Leap Academy was born. I think in 2021, we already crossed $1 million. 2023, we already became Startup of the Year. And
Wow.
now we're 2 years in a row, one of the fastest growing private companies in America. It's pretty insane.
It's pretty amazing, too, because you did that during the pandemic when a lot of things were shut down, and you just kept going.
I think it's easier to keep going when you can rely on a very hard moment that you had in your life. And this is why I want the listeners to understand, if you are in a dark place, if you are in a hard moment, it really does become darker before the sunrise. And this could be very well the thing that you need to learn right now in order to change your trajectory. So if somebody's feeling this, really lean into what can I learn from this? What are the possibilities? What am I trying to create for myself? And it's incredible. Like, there's so much on the menu these days. People will have portfolio careers and multiple ventures and multiple income streams. Like, it's the best time in our, in the world. But you need to know how to create those leaps so that you can create that into a habit and leap really to your full potential. So it's an incredible time, Shelley.
And get over the fear. When you're taking that leap, that you're able to get over to the next plateau. You're not going to fall into the big crevasse, if you will.
So let's talk about fear. I think it is important. And I think, many times you look at somebody else's middle or success and you're thinking, oh, it looks so easy for them. And so let me share that story, because in 2019, like I said, I had this idea. But fear was numbing, Shelley. The fear of what do people say? Like, at that point, I'm this investor and I had this exit and I sit on stages and like, is this really what I want to be known for? What if I fail? What if I look miserable? What if I hate it? What if it doesn't work? What if I look dumb? Like, there's like so many things that could theoretically go wrong. Now, some people will tell you, well, what's the worst part about it? And it's like, no, this is really bad. I don't want to look dumb, like that. So that didn't really work for me. And I was sitting and procrastinating, and I keep laughing that I was binge watching Grey's Anatomy, because that kind of, numbed the pain and the fear. And I remember, kind of being more in victim mentality. Like, I don't know the strategy. I don't know the strategy. But the truth is, the strategy was really simple. I needed to write one post on Facebook. Hi, world and friends. This is why, I decided to do what I do. Do you want to be on a call with me so that I can share more about, at that point it was called Career Leap. But Like, do you want to talk about it? And all I needed to do is this one post. And the fear was absolutely numbing. And it wasn't until I reached out for help that I could hold on to somebody's hand and say, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. And that changed everything. And that's where I think I also realized that I want to help people reinvent and leap their careers. And I want to do it in a way that it's not a book, it's not a podcast. I have a book coming. I have, the podcast, and they're great. They're going to help millions. But the truth is, in order to transform somebody's life, you need to hold their hand through this bridge of fear. And it's incredible to see what's possible after you do that.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for years. I've helped countless people across the country, and my success rate speaks for itself. So now you know where to find good, honest help with your tax problems. What are you waiting for? If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or haven't filed in years, call me now at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com for a free consultation and get your life back.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
We're back with Ilana Golan. And what a journey this is. First woman to command an F-16 flight simulator in Israel's Air Force, youngest hire at Intel, a powerhouse tech executive in Silicon Valley, and then betrayal, loss, and starting over. But here's the difference. Alana turned rock bottom into rocket fuel. Now as CEO and founder of Leap Academy, one of America's fastest growing companies, she's transforming how we think about success, education, and the future of work. She's interviewed icons like Richard Branson and the president of Starbucks, and she's taken stages around the world to challenge what's possible. Alana, in our previous segment, you were talking about working through fear and all the things that are possible. Sometimes people just need a direction. They may have a secret dream they haven't told other people, things that they've always wanted to do, but they're fearful because they don't know exactly how to go about it. Do you think that's part of the obstacle? Not really knowing what direction to head? They need some sort of compass or GPS or something?
It's huge because, again, I don't believe a jar can read its own label, right? So I think there's a lot of times that you need somebody to show you the mirror. I think what's next is huge. I think there's also a lot of options today. Like, I think most people don't even know what's on the menu. And I think just even realizing what else is available, because again, we all have a little bit of blinders on. Like when I was in corporate, I had I had blinders on. Like I didn't know what's next. Like I could only see that one title that I'm trying to get to. I had no clue that maybe I can take some equity and do some advisory and do mentorship and do board seats and do public speaking. And maybe I can charge for public speaking and maybe I can do coaching and consulting and, and I can go on and on. None of these were on the table. And I think one of the most beautiful thing is, first of all, understand what else is there. What is your zone of genius? What is your must-have? And then, yes, you obviously want to get that clarity, but then you want to start being really strategic about your personal brand. What are you known for? What kind of opportunities will people bring your way? Because again, all the coolest opportunities are actually happening in the hidden market and not on job boards or anything else. So we need to play at a different level in a different game, especially now when it's crowded. So how do you rise beyond the people's pile, right? Like how do you and it's all in the hidden market. It's all about creating your network to become your ambassadors and to bring those incredible opportunities your way, but also in 2007, we all became a media company, and we might like it or hate it. The truth is, I did not play the game for a decade or so, Shelley. Like, I did not even think of building my personal brand. I had no interest. I didn't know why I needed it. But today, your personal brand is the only insurance policy you had. This is the only thing that will actually help you leap again, get the right opportunities your way. Again, I needed to learn this the hard way, if you want a juicy story. But, at the end of the day, it's about that personal brand. But it's an incredible way to also control the narrative of what you want to be known for. It used to be really, really hard to get press and to start getting, like people to recognize you, etc. Now you can control the narrative so fast, so powerful. And I think that is a big reason why we were able to leap so fast in Leap Academy, in the programs and Leap Academy podcasts. I think there's a reason why these things were so successful so fast is because we learned to control the narrative.
Which is one of the advantages of technology today. People can be their own advocate. They can be their own broadcaster, their own media entity. It's a matter of getting out there so more people can hear you and see you and all of that. So it requires a strategy. And then you probably need to surround yourself with people who are going to be positive. I do think that quite often women will doubt themselves. And maybe they'll talk to some people who say, you can't do that. So it sounds like you were able to not be around people like that. I mean, you were able to believe in yourself.
It's a very great question. Surrounding yourself with energy and positivity is really important, especially when it's hard, right? Because, people tend to give you empathy, but empathy is not necessarily what you need. What you need sometimes is exactly the opposite of get over it, right? So it depends. But the truth is, I think the positive attitude, and it's really interesting because if somebody would talk about mindset or anything else that sounded a little bit of woo-woo about a decade ago, I would literally roll up my eyes and shut them down. And I can't stress how important mindset is now that you came a long way. I think that was part of my ceiling, if you will. And you do need to get relentless about staying positive, staying grateful, staying in a positive state, whether it's getting out on a hike or whether it's listening to great music or being surrounded by people that will lift you. But also inspiration. I would not, I don't think that I understood the power of inspiration. And listening to podcasts like this, listening to, for me, it's Richard Branson is probably one of the biggest, inspirations. And that's a reason why, I try to hang out more, to learn from him and to recharge my positivity and my outlook on the world. But I think don't underestimate the power of inspiration. And it's pretty incredible what happens when people show you the possibilities, because we are in an era of new possible, but we just need to see it.
We need to find our passion.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Ilana Golan, and her story is the definition of grit meets vision. The first woman to command an F-16 flight simulator in Israel's Air Force, a Silicon Valley executive, Intel's youngest hire, an Ironman triathlete, a mountaineer, and oh my goodness, and whatever else she sets her mind to. But what makes Alana extraordinary isn't just the accolades, it's the resilience. After losing everything in a startup betrayal, she built Leap Academy, now in the top 7% of the fastest growing companies in America, helping people reclaim their careers and leap into the future of work with courage and clarity. Alana? Now, you said that you took 4 steps to reinvent yourself. Would you mind sharing those with our listeners?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, in the general sense, it's pretty simple. I mean, the very first part is exactly what you talked about, is clarity. And I think one of the mistakes maybe that we do is maybe it's around passion. We want to find something that eventually we love. But the truth is, initially, you don't have enough evidence to know that it's going to be your passion. So also don't try to find this like perfect epiphany and say, oh my God, this is going to be the perfect dream. It's more about starting. Clarity comes from action, not just thinking about it, dreaming about it. And it's about finding those zone of genius and your must have. And if you're not quite sure, experimenting with your career, just like startup, experiment with market fit, with which direction they should go to. We experiment with careers in a very, very engineered way. Now, once you have that clarity, your story, and I think a lot of people get this wrong, your story is not about who you've been, it's about who you want to become next. And again, with complete integrity, you want to emphasize the right things that are relevant towards who you want to become next. So if I'm in Intel and I'm writing all this like cool code, that's not going to get me in the door of, more customer-centric roles, right? Or if I talk about only cloud and data center, no clients will come to Leap Academy. So you really want to kind of lean into what it is that you want to be known for, and how do you craft a story of why you, why this, why now? And so your story is really, really, really important. So that's the second part. The third part is elevating your brand. And again, there's a massive correlation between your brand and wealth and opportunities that come your way. And there's a kind of 3 levels of branding, if you will. There's like a very basic, just don't be a red flag, right? I think most coaches talk about the resumes or LinkedIn or whatever. And that's cool. Like that, you just don't want to be the red flag, which is important. But there's 2 more layers that actually create freedom and legacy and more possibilities. And that's visibility and authority. And and we can talk about it. But in general, the more you can get into authority, that's where you can charge premium. That's where opportunities come your way. That's where you get, the most incredible things opening, and it's incredible. The fourth thing is the hidden market. So when you basically need all the coolest opportunities, especially to mid to late stage career, are really going to happen all in the hidden market. Especially if you're trying to create some kind of a portfolio career or multiple streams of income. And every single one of those will come from who knows you according to what you want to be known for. So navigating that, building that executive presence, building, your authority in the space, navigating the network to become your ambassadors, and how do you convert those into actually opportunities, that's an incredible art. But once you do this well, and these are the 4 steps, you can actually just get better and better. So every single leap, you do like a mini leap and you stand on the shoulders of what you achieved, and you build a little bit more of your brand, and you negotiate a little better. And now you can start leaping again. And what's beautiful is that you can start having like a list of wish lists, like I want to try to join a board. Great. What do I need to do? I want to be paid to speak. What do I need to do? I want to, I don't know, like get some equity to mentor and advice. Great. What do I need to do? I want to coach somebody. What do I need to do? So at some point, it just becomes like a wish list, and you can just leap again and create this incredible life of possibilities. And I just wish I knew that earlier, but if I didn't know it earlier, at least I can help thousands of others do it now.
Which is so cool that you're doing that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, life is full of experiences that we have to have, and hindsight's 2020. I wish there was a magnifying glass where we could see the future, and somebody could say, this is the direction you need to head, and this is what you need to do. But it's like we have to kind of grow into it somehow and evolve so we can reach that potential.
That's very true. And, and as you were saying it, I was like, yeah, I would love, some outlook into the future. And on the other hand, no, I don't. Because the truth is, if you would have showed me, Shelley, my future a decade ago, I would laugh so hard at you and I would probably kick you out of the house. Because my life is so weird right now. Like, Shelley, I'm going, cycling with Richard Branson in India. Like, how surreal.
That's
Right.
very cool.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I think I think once you start playing the right games, I think your dreams will surprise you. And once you're able to continue when everybody else stops, you can live a life most will only dream of. And that's, if anything, this is what I want the listeners to get and hear today. You absolutely can have an incredible life. And there's a saying, and I think Tony Robbins says it, but don't quote me on that, you always gonna overestimate what you can do in a year. And that's why we always live in this, like, a little bit of a disappointment, especially as driven people and creatures, right? We're always kind of, I should have done further. I should have done more. But we underestimate what we can do in a decade. And so we never get started. And if you're going to look at your life a decade into the future, if you actually start getting really intentional and very, very strategic about every move you make, you will not recognize the life that you create for yourself.
Very true. Do you think people don't look maybe a decade out because it seems daunting? I mean, obviously, it's kind of relevant to our age. I mean, when we're 20, 10 years seems like a long time because that's half of our life. Do we think more in short-term leaps rather than long-term plans?
And I think we should, to some extent, we should leap again and again, and we should look at short term because you can't live for 10 years. You need to bring the cash now, or you need to
Sure.
things that will be, relevant now. But on the other hand, you do want to seed things that are further. So the way I like to look at it is kind of the 30,000-foot view and then the mirror. So I like playing with, okay, what else is available? What would be like incredible to dream and kind of that dream 100? Like, what are the 100 dreams that would be incredible in a decade? But then you also want to look in the mirror and say, okay, so in order to start achieving that, what do I need to do now? And I think when you start playing that game of 3,000, foot view in the mirror, it's actually pretty incredible to be very intentional and strategic about what you say yes to and what you start saying no to. And again, you're going to need to do both. You need to say yes to possibilities, to more opportunities, to learning more. But as things open up, you're going to need to start getting very relentless about saying no to things that are actually not taking you closer to your goal. And I think, by the way, speaking as women, we tend to do things because we don't want to hurt people versus this is the right thing for me and my future. And these are probably some of the things that we need to start cutting from our life.
Yes. Women tend to say yes probably more than men do.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
I was going to say yes.
Right. No, men, do you think men are taught to be more intentional, and that's something that women have to learn?
It's interesting because in Leap Academy, we're literally 50-50 men and women. We've been, it's actually shocking to me because we've been advertising exactly the same thing for 5 years and ultimately pretty much landing on 50-50 men and women. So apparently it looks like both genders have the need to reinvent themselves and leap and go faster and higher and tilt the possibilities and they want to create the most incredible decade of their life. But I will say that you do see differences in how they approach different things. But on the other hand, I will say men, also don't want their ego hurt. Like, there's other things that are, driving men to not take action. And the women, it's more like, I don't want to hurt, or I don't want people to think of me in certain ways, etc., or I don't want to brag. Like we see different things in different people, and it's beautiful. But the idea is to move every single person forward, and to leap into their full potential, I guess. Yeah.
So women are more driven by modesty and empathy, perhaps, and men have more of a self-serving motivation when you're talking about the ego. They're more into self-preservation, perhaps.
Maybe. I don't know if I would generalize, but yes, in general, we do see differences. And I will say, for example, if we do want to generalize a little bit, for women in general, it is harder to rise above the noise in a first impression environment. And so if one thing that I want the listeners, or at least the female listeners, to hear me really well, branding and personal branding will be your best friend. Because if you come down from a stage, or you come with a certain level of authority, or you come with after some pretty interesting credibility and authority with you, it's a lot easier for people to lean into a conversation with you, versus when you're networking completely, in just some kind of a random networking environment. It is truly harder for women to be known for what they want to be known for, and to get the respect that they deserve. And again, it's not the men's fault. It's not the women's fault. I've seen women sometimes, being harder than any men I've ever seen. So it's not around like the biases are there. But if you can build your personal brand in an unshakable way, you will open doors in a way that is undeniable, more incredible than anybody else, because you are more memorable. So it's actually becoming your advantage.
These are skills women from all walks of life can use when you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
And your website, Leap Academy, I love it. It says, get the skills, tools, and courage to create your new possible. I like that. I don't think people think of possible today. I think sometimes people get inundated with the impossible. You're giving them a rainbow, if you will, to achieve. It's like, I want to find that pot of gold somewhere, whatever it might be, metaphorically, to do the goal setting. What does the Leap Academy do, and can people access this online?
Oh, yeah. So Leap Academy, basically, we look at it as disrupting a little bit of the professional education. I do believe that driven people don't really have a home today, because they can go and get an MBA. And again, it's nice networking experience, but it's not going to meet you where you are, and it's not going to take you forward. And there is no, like, if you are 30 to 65, you don't really have a good home for somebody to look at your career, look at the 360 view of it, and say, okay, how do I leap into my full potential? How do I create a portfolio career? How do I create, not just get a promotion for 10K and be grateful, but how do I actually change my trajectory of my life and create not just a paycheck, but the life that I want with a paycheck? And I don't know of any environment that really does that. So Leap Academy, for me, it's about taking driven people. Again, they need to be driven. It's okay if you fell off the horse of success. Most people have, as I shared in my story. But in general, you need to be driven. You need to want more for yourself. You need to want to put that line in the sand and say, oh, I know I'm meant for more. And if that's the case, we do have free trainings. We have a full career 360 that you can have and take for yourself. So you can go to leapacademy.com/training. And there's a ton of free stuff that we give. And based on kind of where you are in the journey, we'll either send you free information, or we'll have you a full strategist to sit with you and kind of create a whole career 360 with you for free. And we have a lot of free stuff, because we are on a mission to change 10 million lives. So that's a big mission.
This is awesome. This is exactly what people need. And you've got a great podcast, too. It's called the Leap Academy Podcast, correct?
Yes, the Leap Academy with Ilana Golan. And I do get to speak with some of the the most incredible pinch me leaders of my time. And I think for me, Shelley, like the big thing for me was to show blueprints of what some of these careers looked like. Yeah, the challenges that they had, the hardship that, I mean, I literally just talked to someone that, she's like, we just raised $24 million, but guess what? After 107 no's, I stopped counting, and I think sometimes we need to hear these stories. You have the founders of Airbnb, you have, Hyatt, who talked about being too poor to bankrupt. You have the president of Starbucks telling you he was almost suicidal when he lost relevance. And I think when we hear these stories, I can't think of something more inspiring to keep on going despite the fear, despite the doubt, despite the hardship. Just pick a leader that you like and listen to their story because it will inspire you.
And you're bringing the human element back. I mean, I think we tend to put people up on a pedestal and think they've always had this kind of luck, and they're human. They had to work at it, and they had to learn, and they stumbled too, but it's possible. And that's what's so important. Where do people find the Leap Academy?
Yeah, so Leap Academy, like LEAP Academy.com. There's a leapacademy.com/training, or you can look at the podcast on any podcast platform. We have it also on our website. We have it on YouTube. Again, we're here to serve. We're here to help. We have a lot of free events, and just join something, like join us on one of these free things to get at least the energy that you need in order to take yourself to the next level. And if we can help you beyond that, it will be the biggest honor. But again, we're here to give back as much as I can. So, but yeah, I hope the listeners enjoyed this.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. I want to continue talking, Alana, but we're running out of time, and you have so much good stuff to say. There's so many great takeaways. I feel really inspired.
So do I.
Thank you, Alana. This has been a huge honor. I'm just amazed by you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, you two are doing incredible work, and you're giving so much hope and opportunities to all the women and all the listeners out there. And it is about being a road warrior. So congratulations to you two on everything that you created.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
That's what we're trying to do. Power women on the road to success. Because we all have roads we have to follow in life. And we need the right directions. Thank you, Alana. And that's exactly what you're doing too.
Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. It's an incredible journey. And so many takeaways, so many learnings about, what you need to do in order to just keep on going when it's hard, when, the power of a smile. Let's go. That's what
right.
you're doing.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this latest episode. And if you want to hear more episodes of Women Road Warriors or learn more about our show, be sure to check out womenroadwarriors.com. And please follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. On our website, we also have a selection of podcasts just for women. There are a series of podcasts from different podcasters. So if you're in the mood for women's podcasts, just click the Power Network tab on womenroadwarriors.com. You'll have a variety of shows to listen to anytime you want to. Podcasts made for women. Women Road Warriors is on all the major podcast channels like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Audible, YouTube, and others. Check us out. And please follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you want to be a guest on the show or have a topic or feedback, email us at sjohnson@womenroadwarriors.com.